Hello, everybody. Dana Kovacic here from Intuitive Leader. And this morning we have the one and only superstar, Kelly. Kelly has been an incredible client of mine for 12 months, and she has hopped on this morning to share her story because it is so inspiring from where she was to where she is now to where she's going. So, hello, Kelly.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning,
Yes, absolutely.
all the way from the US.
Yep, Wisconsin.
Amazing. I'd love you to do a little introduction for yourself.
Well, I have owned my salon for 15 years and it's been just me for a long time. And I finally decided it was time to take some classes and take everything to the next level. So I randomly found you on Facebook one morning at like 2 in the morning, and the rest is history.
Isn't that incredible? And I'd love for you to share what was that pivotal moment for you that you thought, I need to get some sort of help or I need to get some support. What was going on in your mind and in your business then?
No matter what I did, I just couldn't get ahead with money, and I just felt like I was drowning, and I was really starting to hate going to work and resent my business, and it was taking so much time. I felt like I never got to see my son, and I had to either do something or I was going to close the salon. And I wanted the flexibility of being self-employed when my son starts school, so I decided I needed to fix the salon.
It's that pivotal moment of the fork in the road. It's quit the business or go get a job, and how great that you chose to stay in your business. And I'd love to know, how many hours were you working? Was it like 90 or 100 or what? Where was that?
I was working anywhere from 70 to 80 hours a week.
Ooh, so 70 to 80 hours a week, spending hardly any time with your beautiful little boy and your family. You were working so hard, and quite frankly, there was no money left in the bank after all your hard work, was there?
No, there wasn't. There was just, I just opened a salon and never did business classes, so I really didn't have any clue what I was doing. I opened it on a hope and a prayer, and I made it a long time, but I finally just, it just wasn't working the way things were. So it was time.
And that is a strength, right? That's a strength. Business owners, we're all crazy because we see a dream, we have a dream that no one else can see, and we go for it. And I want to acknowledge you for that because that takes a lot of guts to go into business without knowing business. I've got a very similar story. I didn't even know what Excel
Yeah.
was. And then we go in it very, as a seller owner, very heart-based, as any business, small business owner, very heart-based, want to care for the clients and not necessarily knowing or wanting to know numbers. And I'd love to know, what was your relationship with knowing numbers? I'd love for you to share that story when we first met.
It was terrifying. I knew I needed to raise my prices, but I absolutely panicked and hyperventilated because I was so afraid I was going to lose all of my clients
Mm.
and go broke and have no paycheck. And I think actually when we first started talking about it, I hyperventilated and broke out in hives.
You did. You
I
broke
did.
down the lives.
I
And
did.
what that just goes to show what a strong belief you had around money, that you physically in front of me broke out in hives.
Yes,
And
I did.
and if I may share a little bit about that story, like what you've just told me, is that you were scared of going broke, but you already were broke. Isn't it funny that, we have these stories in our mind,
Yeah.
if I do this, then I'll be this, but I'm already this. And
Yeah.
and going through that process of, just with any bit, there's no cookie cutter process in business. So we looked
No.
at different strategies and we picked apart, well, Kelly, you're working 70 to 80 hours a week. You're fully booked. You didn't have a client problem. So we look at it, do you have a client number problem or do you have a pricing problem or do you have both? You were booked out months in advance.
Yes.
Then it was a pricing problem. How much are you working per hour? And it was well below minimum wage, well below.
Oh, yes. Very, very much below. Yeah.
And what happened then? So you met me. We had that scary conversation about
Yeah.
numbers.
Yes.
We'll talk about
And
what happened, like after you met me, putting some things in place.
well, I started with the pamphlet that I printed out and kind of looked through it and just did my price for profit calculator and realized how bad things really were and how much I was losing money on my services. So, I wasn't even able to pay myself. I was just paying the bills at the salon. I was basically working for nothing. And it like all turned around. And I remember when I first raised my prices because it was significant. Like I hadn't raised them. I had this salon 15 years and I only raised my prices 3 times in 15 years because I was so afraid of it. And I remember being on the phone with you crying because I lost one of my favorite clients, but I've lost maybe 4 or 5 clients and I've been getting probably an average of 10 new ones a month. So I'm much further ahead than I was before. I actually have money in the bank. I have a savings account. I have money set up for a paid vacation, and I have a vacation planned in August. And I am now down to the most I work is maybe 45 hours a week instead of the crazy hours I was working. And so I get to see my son much more. So I am much happier. Yeah.
Kelly, that is just so beautiful. From going from working 70, 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week sometimes, to now going 45 hours max, which essentially is 40 to 60 days a year that you've saved, which is 2 months a year. Like, let that sink in, everybody. 2 months a year you've saved in time. You've now got money in your vacation account. You're taking a vacation.
I
And
am.
what I heard is that you've learned some systems that you're able to turn the tap on when you need new clients.
Yes, I that was a big issue for me is I had absolutely no clue. I'm not a big technology person. So a big focus for me was learning marketing, learning Facebook, learning Instagram, like just learning all of those free sources for marketing and how to do it. And that's been huge. So like that's been a total game changer. And it does take time, but it doesn't take a ton of time. And once you learn how to do it, it's really not that bad.
Isn't that incredible? It takes time working on the business so you can save time working in the business. Work smarter, not harder.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, incredible, Kelly. So we've got money in the bank, you've done your marketing, you've learned a technique to turn your clients on tap, and uh, how important is it to track and measure your results and go from facts and not just feelings? I'd like you to talk a little bit about that.
That was huge. Again, I remember when I first raised prices and I lost a few clients, which, I knew I would. It was a pretty big price increase, but I went into panic mode and like I was bawling and my husband's like, just send Donna a message and just tell her what's going on. And so I did. And you had me sit and do all of my numbers and track all of like lost clients, new clients, and everything. And really from start to finish, I have maybe lost 8 to 10 clients. So I was in this total panic of, oh my God, everybody's leaving. And then when I actually did the paperwork and looked at the numbers, it really wasn't that big of a deal. And like when I actually did that, I am still getting new clients weekly from, Facebook, Instagram, word of mouth, like all of that. So it takes some of the stress away. And like for me, it took a lot of the like anxiety and the burnout away because I could actually see like my mind was getting the best of me. It really wasn't as bad as I had myself convinced it was.
Isn't that incredible that by having a system, we're able to get out of our head? Tony Robbins says, in your head, you're dead. So getting a system and looking at the facts of when we lose one person, when we do something, when we lose one person, it literally can feel like everyone's going to leave and we can go into that panic mode. And when we saw the facts over a month, I think it was at the time one client or two clients, and you had gained like
Yeah.
4 weeks. It's like, oh
Yeah.
wow, it's not as bad as what I thought.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that was the day I sent you a voice message on Facebook. And I think I was bawling at the time, actually. I was really upset. And you're like, just do your numbers. And so I went home that night and did them. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's really not that terrible. But it's hard, you get attached to your clients. And I think sometimes as hairstylists, we forget they are clients because we look at them more as family and friends. And that's something that I really had to work on too, is separating that and actually treating my business as a business. Because I had a big problem too. Like I always was giving discounts to my friends, and I didn't realize how much I was actually hurting myself.
Yeah.
So that was huge for me. And that is something that I learned by doing all this paperwork and tracking all of my numbers. I actually realized how much I was discounting stuff. And once I saw that on paper, that's ended. Like, I have a few people that I do, but it's like, I have some girls that babysit for me. So I do their hair in exchange for babysitting, it's stuff like that. But other than that, that was a really, really big thing for me. And before that, I never even realized I was really doing it.
I remember that conversation, and you felt
Yep.
sick in your stomach. You're like, Dana, what the F? This is
Yes.
discounting. And it was sometimes it's the shock that we need to be like,
Yes.
what, I'm really hurting myself. And how have you found your clients that have stayed, their reactions to not discounting anymore and having those price rises in your business?
Most of them, like my friends have all been really understanding. They were, nobody was upset. I did have some clients upset over price increases, but I just had to explain to them to stay in business and keep my salon functioning and open. I had to. I just didn't have a choice. I was going to go out of business if I did not. And once I explained things that way, most of them were understanding. I did lose a few, but um, everyone's been pretty understanding and good. There was a few kind of little snotty at the beginning, but I
Oh,
just kind of had conversations with them, and it was like, this is what I have to do, and they all stayed. So, I
is it?
mean, except for those like 10, whatever it was, but yeah.
There's always going to be some resistance, and sometimes it literally is out of people's price range, and that's totally okay. And taking it away from it's a me thing, people hate me or people don't like me, to this is what I need to do in business. And that was a
Right.
really big shift for you, wasn't it?
Yes, that was very hard because I don't think I've ever truthfully looked at my salon as a business. Like to me, it was like, I'm gonna go do some hair, have some fun. And
Of course.
I think I didn't I didn't know a gosh darn thing about business, to be truthful. I've had an accountant that's just done most stuff, but as far as like tracking everything, like I never knew how. And it's been absolutely life-changing getting all of that. I do all of my numbers in the salon. I have a notebook. I do them every day, every week, and it's just unbelievable the difference that small thing makes. Especially through like really stressful times when, my focus wasn't really on the salon as much as it should have been from personal stuff going on. That was so much easier to just look at that quickly and say, okay, this is what I need to do. And now I can go deal with the personal stuff going on. And that was huge for me the last year.
It's incredible what you've been through, and I'm not going to go dive deep into that, Kelly. You've been
Yeah.
in three people's lifetime worth of stuff in this past year, and
Yeah.
having a system in place. It's about having a system and knowing, okay, this is the system. I'm following it. I can deal with that now. I'm going to go deal with my stuff, like the other important
Yes.
stuff in life, because business is not us. It's something that we choose to do to help us get to our dream, and something that if we're working in it still, something that we enjoy doing.
Yes. I enjoy my business so much more again. And I think a huge thing for that, the biggest thing my clients really noticed was having that, like setting up my cart, having that the same procedure every client, every time. Little things like I added some snacks. I've added just really little inexpensive things. The welcome bags for the new clients have been huge. At this point, there's nobody else that I know of in my town that has done that. So that has gotten back to me through various people like, oh, hey, I heard you're doing that now. And so that's been a really, really positive thing. And I've had a few people come just because they heard of that and they're like, oh, that's really cool you do that. And now they book appointments all the time. And just being more organized was huge, for my cart especially. I set it up the same way all the time. And at first, when you said that, I was like, oh, such a kind of a waste of time. But it really made a huge difference. It made my time much more efficient, and clients comment on it. They really noticed it. So it was huge.
Isn't it incredible? The small things are the big things. How we do the small things is how we usually do the big things. And lifting the standard of how we do things is how we get to our dream. I really love the quote. I don't recall where I heard it was, we never achieve our highest dream, we always achieve our lowest standard. So by lifting the standard in the small things, we're lifting them in the big things. And the client journey, our seven-figure blueprint client journey, is incredible. People in your town are talking about it and coming to you naturally from referrals. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Is to show the extra care, be different, and have your unique selling point.
Yeah, it's really made a huge difference. And even existing clients, I did like small little gift bags for them when I started all this, just as kind of like a thank you, because they've all come to me for years and years. And that was huge too. And it was very inexpensive. I think each bag maybe averaged out to like $5 or $6 a bag. It was not terrible. And just the huge impact that had. And I was very, very surprised by that. But everybody loved them. And it was just that little thank you that, it meant so much to them, even, and it really didn't, I mean, it was a couple $100, it wasn't terrible to take out of the account, but the impact it had was huge.
Huge, because clients remember how they feel. People don't buy a service or a product, they buy the feeling of it, usually. And, leaving a lasting impact and a lasting feeling in your clients' lives. Clients, just like all of us, love to be seen and heard and feel special. And you've grown so much, Kelly, to do that. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about how's your experience been with working with me? What have you enjoyed the most?
Oh, that's a hard question because there's a lot. It's always positive. It's always, even when I did have some really rough personal things going on, like you were very understanding. I mean, there was times that I was really struggling and I missed some meetings and, you've been really great about letting me make that stuff up and just really making sure that I was getting the most out of this. And, when I was doing things stupid, you were telling me like, get your head out of your ass and get going. But it's always like fun and positive, and it's what I needed to learn how to do what I mean, I've come so far in the last year, and I'm very sad that it's over. Like, and I mean, it's one of the people in the class too, like Claire and I have, we chat on Facebook quite a bit, and it's like you have friends all over from doing it. And it's just crazy to think that I've done this and we're in totally different countries, and it's just always such a positive part of my week. I always get done. I feel better. We're always laughing. We're joking. And you're still learning. So I mean that's huge.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So it's been fun and it's been a little bit of a butt kick when you need it
Yep.
to help you grow, because sometimes we need that bit of a little bit of a butt kick. There's a time where validation isn't the key. It's, hey, what are we doing? Let's do something different to get to your
Right.
dream result. And it's been an honor to be able to serve you and the beautiful, all of the beautiful clients in this container. It's been incredible. And I'd love for you to share lastly, what's happening now in your life that you're looking forward to in the future that you've been able to do?
Well, huge for me. I have wanted to for years buy my own building, and that has not worked out. And so we just decided and just got approved. We are actually breaking ground next weekend and building my own building for a salon. So I can finally stop fighting with landlords and rent and all of that. So I get to design my own salon from start to finish, and I am so excited. And it actually it's less money than renting. My loan payment is
Yes,
quite a bit cheaper than my rent. So
crazy.
yeah, yeah, I'm very excited for that. And
Oh,
I never would have had the nerve to do that, or I've never felt like it was within my reach. And with all of these systems in place and managing money better and really like focusing on like where the money needs to go, and one of the biggest things for me for this class was learning like percentages of where you should spend what.
yeah.
Like I had a really big problem with like inventory, I especially during COVID, it was so hard to get stuff. I'm like, God, I better order it while I can get it. And then I ended up with way too much and I had too much money tied up in inventory. And so now I stick to my percentages. And if I don't have the money in that account, then it waits and it's working out really well. And I've been able to put money in a savings and have a down payment. And I'm now able to build my own building. So I
Oh,
never would have been able to do that without these classes. So
Kelly,
that's huge.
I'm trying not to swear here. I'm so freaking proud of you.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
to go from one of our first conversations about numbers and you physically breaking out in hives,
Yeah.
working 80 hours a week to now having working 45 max, spending time with your son, having money in your savings, buying a building, building up your wealth. How
Yeah.
freaking amazing is that? You've done the work. You have done the work consistently, even when there was personal things going on, because life happens still, right? You've still
Yes, it does.
followed the system. And when you were felt stuck and you well, oh, what do I do? And you weren't following the system, you reached out for help quickly. And that's such a strength because as human beings, we're not meant to know everything. And there's some days that we literally have blind spots because we may be feeling stuck or overwhelmed. And you reached out quickly every single time. And now you are here in this magnificent space, building wealth and security for your family.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a really important thing too. Like if there was ever a time in any of it that I was frustrated, like there was many times I just felt like giving up, especially with the marketing and the social media stuff, because oh, that was a challenge for me to learn. I am not a techie person, but it doesn't matter when or what, like every single time I reached out, like, hey, I'm really struggling. I mean, that you always get back to and you always have an answer and like, hey, try this, do this. And it's just been wonderful.
Thank you
It's
very much. Thank you, Kelly. And I'd
yeah,
love for you to know anyone that's sitting on the fence about working with me in their small business, what would you have to say to them?
spend the money and do it. It's been the best thing I've ever.
Yeah.
And when I first started doing it, my husband was really upset with me because he did not want me to spend the money. And I ignored him and did it anyway. And now he is very grateful that I ignored him and did it anyway. I mean,
I remember that. It took, I think,
yeah,
a week after we had the conversation, and you were
yeah,
emailing me and you were like, I don't know if I can do it. And we literally just had a conversation of if you keep going the way you're going, what's life going to look like? And if you choose to say yes to yourself and follow the systems, what can life look like? And isn't it even better than what you thought a year ago?
yeah. I can't believe all that I've accomplished in a year. And I mean, before this, it was, and I have consistently, I get a paycheck now to, help my personal bills. And it's just a total 180 from where I was at a year ago. So it's been amazing and I would do it again all over. It's definitely a must if you're struggling in a business.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And I'm really looking forward to see how you go over the next year in your new building. Thank you for inspiring each and every one of us who's been watching. well, I'm in here, I'm not watching it right now, but thank you so much for inspiring everyone who's watching this and keep on rocking on because you're proof, the proof is in the pudding that getting the help and support from someone who's had the results really, really helps you to get the results that you want. So thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.